If you dream to become an awesome motion designer and make good money with it, then let me tell you a secret. You must turn your passion into a skill that you can sell. Now, in this chapter, we will go through some habits that will help you turn your passion into a skill. Habit number 1, keep an animation journal. Now, as you start learning animation from courses or YouTube tutorials, break it down in clear steps. And as you move on animating, keep on noting down these steps. Now, I know this may sound like a lot of work, but it is a lifesaver, and I'm going to give you a few reasons why this is a lifesaver. Okay, so the first one is that it saves time. And here is how. Let's say you saw a tutorial on an effect called roughen edges. And now you are working on a project that needs the same effect. Now, if you have written it down, all you need to do is go through the steps in your animation journal. Meanwhile, for a tutorial, you have to find the right one and then scroll there, and then you have to switch between browser and After Effects. Can you see the difference? I'm sure you can. The second reason is that when you write things down, or even when you type things down, you will remember things faster, and you might not even need to look in your journal. Habit number 2 is visualization. I'm sure you must be scratching your head. What is visualization? So the research has proven that all the world-class athletes and other peak performers use visualization. So visualization is a practice where you imagine yourself performing activity like you want to. So basically, our minds cannot tell a difference between imagination and reality. So if you imagine you are good at something, you will start getting good at it. I'm sure you have experienced this, right? So in your dreams, you believe that your dream is reality, but when you wake up, you realize, oh, that was just a dream, right? Now, we can use this principle in animation as well. So before you start your animation or even turn on your computer, sit in front of the screen, close your eyes and imagine that you are doing really well as an animator. Now, if you are working on a project, imagine the final animation. Imagine happy clients if you are working for them. Once you feel it and see it vividly, open your eyes and start. If you are skeptical, and I know some of you are, Google visualization and peak performance. I promise you will be blown away by it. Don't take my word for it, Google it. Habit number 3, creating strategy. Now, before you begin animating your projects, always create rough thumbnails in your notebook. Now, you don't have to be a professional. Just make it for yourself. Once you make thumbnails for scenes, you will be able to see how objects or characters are moving. Now, from these thumbnails, you will be able to create strategy. Now, a strategy is a set of steps that you will take to finish the project or a scene. Now, just a little bit of warning before I give you a detailed example. So if you are a beginner, this may sound too complex, but I want you to see and understand what clarity can do for you. So here is an example. Now, Abhishek created this as his project. I hope you remember him. He's from the intro. Okay, now here is what he did first. So he sketched the steps in a pretty rough way on paper. Now, as you can tell, he's no painter. I can barely read what he has written, but I can tell what he wants. Second, he broke down steps on paper. So here is what I mean. So we have 6 thumbnails here, and he wrote what he will do for each of them. For example, here he wrote, scale down yellow solid and then replace it with the same size of rectangle. Then he wrote, create a path for a rectangle and use the echo effect to give more oomph to the motion. I don't know what does that mean, oomph. And replace it with a pen tool at peak speed. Now use the graph editor to decide the peak speed. Here he wrote, now break all letters into separate layers and then find the way to make the letter appear one by one. Then place the pen tool where those letters are. The pen tool becomes the box through the position animation. Now, these are the steps that he has written. And I'm sure that you can tell by now that almost 50% job is done because of the clarity. This is what clarity can do for you. Of course, as a beginner, you may not have any idea on how to create these steps. But don't worry, just like Abhishek, by the end of this course, you will be able to make your own strategy. I promise. Now, of course, it goes without saying, but for a complex project, strategies becomes more complex. But this idea gives you clarity like no other. Also, I have to point this out. If you develop this habit in a really positive way, like you can draw your thumbnails very clearly, you will be hired really quickly compared to the people who can't draw. You will be at advantage. And especially if you can create strategy with thumbnails, oh my god, you are going to get hired quickly.